Keep talking.
Everyone, I want to introduce one of the pioneers of this work, Dr. Unfortunately, he couldn't attend the conference in person due to its strict restrictions, but I would let Dr. Halim Naeem start this discussion while we all collect here.
Assalamu alaikum, you all hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
All right, cool. How long do I have?
How long you have? I'll text you when you have to. Go start. You have a couple of minutes. Yes, please start the conversation.
Okay. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wassalam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam taslima. Allah bless the Prophet and have mercy on us and bless the people who have put this together and the people who have worked so hard. I only have a couple or a few minutes, but you know who you are. You know who you know the history and the struggles and the things that we've had to be able to come to this point. So inshallah, the state of Muslim mental health. Is that what we're talking about now?
Come on. Yes, you know you. You started the idea, right?
No, I did. It's just the volume's kind of low on this computer, but that's okay. That's why I have to do that. Okay. Well, let's just say what the state of Muslim mental health is. Obviously, I'm a type of person. I'm never really. I may never completely. I'll be content and happy along the way, but never fully satisfied until I get to wherever Allah is trying to take me, take us, and take this movement. I think we've come a very long way. We've come a very long way from things being so taboo. We've come a long way from a number of people saying this would never work. We've come a very long way, and everybody in that stadium, in the auditorium, you do some prayers for Dr. Abbasi because what she was able to do in persuasion of Michigan State. I want to thank the people, Dr. Jed Megan, everybody there, Yale University for having us. What she was able to do for now the 14th conference, and this took some time to even get to the first conference, is to have the APA, the American Psychological Association president, a number of years ago say there is no conference that is funded, no single mental health psychology conference that is more funded, that is more highly funded than single conference that's more funded than the Muslim Mental Health Conference, okay? So that, I should hear some clapping. Do I hear it or am I losing something? Okay, okay, anywho, clap, 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 clap. Nonetheless, the state of Muslim mental health right now, it's at a crossroads, and we have some new frontiers and some new things to go to another level now, and there's new things. We need to be a younger crowd, quite honestly, and we've embodied that in who we bring. We need to be a more religious crowd, quite honestly. We need to be a more spiritual crowd, and we need to be a much better researched crowd, okay? What I would like to see is what I've said this weekend. I want to see, inshallah, in the program, and anybody here who's got an idea of what to put into the abstracts, into their reports and the poster presentations, and I want to thank all the presenters and everybody who's here. What I want to see is I want to see more of what Islam can bring to the table, okay? What Islam can bring to the society, because that's what the Prophet was about at the beginning. Okay, I want to see more about the beauty and the health of Quran, the beauty and health of prophetic models of counseling, the beauty and model of family, and things like that, versus, and these things are all important, but versus how are we hurt after Islamophobia? How has 9/11 affected our lives? How is this? How is that? How is that? Again, bless all the presenters and the people who find passion and interest in this. But now, crossroads, now we have to take pride in who we are and what we are. and what brought us to the dance. And what brought us to the dance was the love that our people had for our faith, our prophet, and our religion, and our people to be much better mental health, to be in a much better place with our mental health. And so we have amazing people who were students and grad students, and now they've become doctors and professionals, and we're still in it, and we're still going hard. We have brand new people. We have amazing people now that are being a part of it. And it's just really the cool thing to be a part of, because don't let the pretty face fool you. I'm still cool. So anywho, inshallah, I don't know what people are saying or doing or what have you. I had a few minutes, and if that's all that's got to be said, then that's what it is. So Jazakallah khair. Thank you all so much. Thank you all so much for having us. And am I supposed to make a couple of announcements about next year, or? No,
okay, I'll come back to the announcement. Stay with us, okay?
All right.
So this is a concept we started, I think it was the second or third year of the conference, that in the end, we want to keep an interactive session. And we also want to acknowledge some of the pioneer work being done in the field. And of course, thank all the wonderful volunteers without whom this conference wouldn't be possible. And what are you doing down here? Come here. You take my seat, please. You are the future. No, you cannot hide. So, from day one of the conference, the goal was to create a safe space for the community, and also make visible or viable the diversity of being Muslim. And I think this speaks loudly more than anything what you are seeing here, how we all are coming to this work from a different lens, from a different perspective. But some of the usual, some of the founding members of the initiative are not here today, but I think these, all of them represent the work very well. So I would introduce, I will let them introduce themselves and talk a little about their work and why this work is important and what's your hope where this work should go. I'll come to you at the end. So. You have been promoted.
So it's been a privilege to be a part of this community. Actually, I was talking to Farha yesterday when we met after meeting all of you after 3 years of having this sort of time gap between us. And I was talking to him about after I had done my master's, I was looking to have my doctorate funded. And at that time, I had this impression that all these professionals, this was the second year of the conference, and I had to take a break because of funding issues during my doctorate. And I thought to myself, you know, I came to the conference and it was wonderful. And then I thought, maybe these guys might have some support, some scholarships. So I talked to Farha, and he's like, we don't have any money. Like, don't let all the academic affiliations and the location and where we're at, like, we don't have any money. This is all being run on volunteerism, support, and lots of people. So, because we don't have this big, like, walk or something like that that's funding all of this project. And that's what I think gave me a greater appreciation of it, as much as I was disappointed with the response. The fact that people were just committed, right, year in and year out to do this. And you know, I met so many people here, right? This was a platform in which people launched that from my own career and worked up in Chicago and nationwide now.
Can you say that again? This was the launch.
And then come out of here, who became a mentor to me, and I've been and Dr. Abbasi here, and Halim, and then Dr. Ryan, this conference, right, several years ago, when we started working together, and a lot of the work that ended up coming out of what we're doing, we're the largest provider of Muslim mental health services across the country. We service thousands of Muslim patients a year, and we have a team of nearing 50 mental health professionals at the hospital center. So, I would have never imagined that. I always think I'm sure I was going to go back to my doctor, right, at that time. And so it has been a wonderful experience and journey. And
So we're going to make one change that you will have to stand there and talk because the online people are
just
Sorry, online
You
people.
can start with how this was the launch.
Well, the other thing that I want to say is the amount of work that goes into this is incredible, right? Because we co-sponsored this the year before, right? And the year after Arizona, actually, we thought we were going to have it in person. We had set up to be in Chicago at that time. And it was going to be nice because, the conference was going to come to Chicago for the first time. It's going to be able to sort of showcase back at the Hill Center there, one of the birth child of the project, of this conference. And then COVID happened, right? And then the pandemic happened. And despite the fact that it went online, which theoretically should have been a lot easier, right? There's so much work that went into even putting that conference together, and I was on the committee. Truth be told, I wasn't on the committee after for the next 2 years. I was burnt out, to be quite honest. And then being on that position of sitting on the committee gave me a further appreciation of how you can do this year in and year out, and the amount of effort and sacrifice that goes into this. So, obviously it happens with the concert of everybody working together and people believing and coming here, connecting and creating this community space. So it's very important that everybody support this work and that they be here and that they tell others about the conference. But also just having the recognition that there's so much work that goes into putting this together so that everybody can have these experiences, and it's really a selfless giving, right, to the community, and just think about the power, right, the power in the room. I mean, each person and how many lives they touch, how many patients, how many communities, how many individuals, and if everybody's sharing knowledge and resources and information, and we walk out of here with something that changes us or inspires us or gives us new direction, that can have such a triple effect, like a domino effect, to affect the people's lives. So, and last thing I'll say is, it also creates a space for the healers, right, to heal themselves to a degree, because we're all helping professionals and, helping everyone else. You sort of forget about helping yourself, and you don't really have a lot of community or space to be able to share your experience with others that can understand or are going through the same thing, right? You could share it with somebody that doesn't go through what you're going through, but they may not appreciate it or understand what that means. And oftentimes it turns into a therapy session for them, right? Even if it starts with support for you. But in this space, it's like, even if people don't need to say anything, that all of you are experiencing similar things. And it kind of creates a sense of community, that you're not alone, that we're not in isolation, and that we're all really doing the same thing.
So just one goal, where
Yeah.
do you think Muslim mental health is heading to, or what's your hope?
Yeah. That's a big question.
One
Wasn't prepared for that one.
We are looking for short answers.
I mean, Halim said it best, right? I think, this mental health is about the prophetic tradition in the Sunnah of caring for others. We call this compassionate prophetic care, right? The Prophet ﷺ said, من نفس عن مسلم كربة من كرب الدنيا نفس الله عنه كربة من كرب يوم القيامة. Whomsoever takes away, and nafasa in Arabic means like to breathe as well, it comes from breath, right? And whosoever gives breath, like relieves an individual, they of their burdens, Allah Ta'ala will relieve their burdens on Yawm al-Qiyamah. And the Prophet ﷺ was, rahmatun lil alameen. He had compassion. I think what we embody is hopefully the compassion for the community and for people, and to bring that through compassion and through character and through giving, which is so much of what psychology is going towards, headed in that direction, right? Positive psychology and giving, meaning, being selfless, and character development. We have the character of the Prophet ﷺ to share with humanity, to embed in us so that we can have a trickle effect on the individuals around us. And if we do that, that's the most powerful example and da'wah for Islam, right? That people can see the character of Muslims and the commitment to and compassion. Just think about your own lives of individuals. I can think about people in this room, maybe on the podium, right? that have selflessly invested themselves in me and the appreciation that that engenders, right? And so I think where we're headed is to really do the work that we need to do. And, if you ask me on another day, I'll give you a much more philosophical and academic answer, but this is just, what comes to my mind at this moment.
Thank you so much.
So, Human's work in Khalid Center represents one construct of Muslim mental health, which is Islamic psychology. I want to invite Dr. Amelia to, she's one of the pioneers. Like Khalid like to say that you thought of Muslim mental health and nobody had thought about it. So, please.
And introduce your organization.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum. It's a pleasure to be here at the close of this session of this 14th annual Muslim Mental Health Conference. And I am excited about the opportunity to be here, but the opportunity to see the improvements that we've made, the fact that we are moving forward. I can tell you that I was here at a time when this did not exist. When talking about Muslim mental health was like, what? We don't have mental health problems. We don't have domestic violence problems. We don't have youth problems. We don't have substance, like we didn't have any of these problems as a community. But as time has passed, we've come to the recognition that we're human beings. And just like every other community, we suffer human problems and human challenges. As a social worker, there's a old book called Common Human Needs. And many of our old-time social workers might know this book, but that is exactly what we have experienced. Salaam alaikum, Imam Zaid. They want you on stage, Imam Zaid. They don't want you in the audience. Come on, come on. And Sister Saliha, Assalamu alaikum. So as Imam gets ready to come up, let me just say that there was a time when we didn't have any problems. And as a community, we weren't even thinking about addressing them. We didn't have the numbers of Muslim mental health providers and clinicians and researchers that are here did not exist. 23 years ago, when a small group of sisters said we needed to begin to look at the at pulling together some kind of platform and way of working together. We believe that we had concerns and they needed to be addressed. So that small group of people pulled together a larger group of people in Sterling, Virginia, and founded the Islamic Social Services Association. Sister Shahina, you heard Sister Selma mention Sister Shahina Siddiqui, alhamdulillah, myself, Dr. Miriam Funches and Dr. Belkizeb Touré pulled together folks like Dr. Altaf Hussein and Sister Sharifa Al-Khatib. I mean, these are old times. These are people that many of you don't even know, you don't know from back then. But I can tell you that we stand on their shoulders. And had it not been for the dedication and the courage of those who came before and the desire for all of us to see this dream, this day. We had an Islamic Social Services Association conference in Arizona at one time, and I remember my speech on the state of mental health, and I said, I have a dream. Just like Dr. King had a dream, I had a dream. I had a dream that one day we would have Muslim therapists, we would have Muslim counselors, we would have Muslim social workers, we would have Muslim family law attorneys, you know, who have an awareness of our needs, and we would have imams that supported our efforts, and we would work together in collaboration. I had a dream, and today I'm seeing the beginning of the fruition of that dream in you. And I'm so happy that you're here, and I thank you. I mean, there's so much for us to address. We're not done. Our work is not done because there's still so many of us hurting. And I still get calls saying, how can I reach a Muslim counselor? I want a Muslim counselor. I want one who's sensitive, but not too preachy or whatever, you know. So it depends upon who the person is and what their issues are. And many of you know that I'm in the work of premarital education with singles because I think as a prevention specialist, that's where I need to be. But each and every one of us has a place to be. We all have our place. We all have the place that fits us best. This fits me. If you're a clinician, do your thing. Do your thing well. Pray to Allah to guide you and to grant you the courage and the knowledge and the skills to do what needs to be done. You know, if you are a community activist, get going. We have lots of policies that need to be addressed in our masjid communities and in the larger society. Do what needs to be done. And so I just want to encourage you to go forth. And I want to thank Dr. I want to thank Dr. Farha Abbasi, Dr. Hamada Hamid, Halim, Dr. Halim. We had a great session over at the hotel, and he is facilitating something that is really important over there as well. And I want to just let you know how much I appreciate this opportunity to be here with you. And next we want to bring Imam Zaid Shagar. You walked in and now everybody wants you, so.
I would request a standing ovation for Imam Zaid Shagar.
I was just coming to say salam to Dr. Rana. I don't happen to have the speech handily tucked into the pocket. Oh, since you want me to say a few words. Bismillah. Alhamdulillah, Bismillah, Rahman Rahim, Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen, wa salatu wa salam, ala Sayyid al-Mursaleen, Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, this is a homecoming of sorts. Before I left New Haven in 2003 to go to California to work with Zaytuna College project. At that time, it was Zaytuna Institute. I was the Muslim chaplain here at Yale and Imam of Masjid al-Islam, the street. You could walk there in about 10 minutes. At that time, it was on the Hamden-New Haven border, so a bit far to walk, but maybe 5 to 7 minutes by car. In any case, we actually had started an initiative with Yale New Haven Hospital and some of the local clergy representing different religious communities to work together towards addressing some of the issues that this conference was addressing, dealing with mental health, dealing with various forms of abuse, many of which were rooted in mental and spiritual problems. And actually the clinicians and the therapists here at Yale reached out to the religious community because in their work, they found that what they were doing was not sufficient in some cases to really address the concerns of some of their constituents or patients. And we in the religious community found that what we were doing in many instances wasn't sufficient. And so what was needed was if you will, a spiritual approach that was coupled with a clinical and therapeutic approach. And alhamdulillah, it's really wonderful to see that now we have the Khalil Center, we have the Maristan Project, we have so many initiatives that are doing exactly that, bringing those two worlds together, because like the human being, we're not these disjointed compilations of isolated parts. We are integrated beings. Our spiritual is not distinct from our mental, and our mental is not distinct from our spiritual, and we're housed within this body, which brings it all together. And so I just share the enthusiasm of Dr. Anissa, who we were recently still working with in the context of the Muslim Alliance in North America, MANA, and she should get a standing ovation for her pioneering work in the community and in this space. Alhamdulillah. And so in that, I just dropped in. I don't want to, they say, don't give a teenager a cell phone and don't give an imam a microphone. And they gave me a microphone. So an hour later, no, but in that, I just dropped in. I'm not going to do the imam thing and give you the 2-hour khutbah. I just express my gratitude for the hard work, this many times thankless work, selfless work that all of you are doing on so many different fronts. And may Allah Ta'ala bless this conference to continue, that the relationships that you're building, the professional collaborations that you're establishing, may they continue to grow, may they be fruitful, and may they multiply. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
What a blessing, what an honor. I will continue to the line, Farha.
So just repeat your work and how do you feel the Muslim mental health movement is going and the conference?
MashaAllah, how do I feel the Muslim mental health movement is going? Tabarakallah, look at this. Alhamdulillah. 4 tracks all at once. Good to see you. Alhamdulillah, barakallahu fikum. I pray inshallah everybody benefited from the conference. I hope inshallah the intentions and also your own efforts are rejuvenated by seeing all these different people and all the different research that's happening, up and coming researchers, mashallah. My gratitude first and foremost to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Secondly, to all these wonderful people like Dr. Farha, Dr. Halim, Dr. Hamada, who really, and the entire team, Mary, and all the folks in the background that really do a ton, to kind of get this going. I also want to show a lot of gratitude to my team. Mashallah, as you guys know, I had about a dozen folks from my lab here, mashallah, and they've just really excelled. I'm just so excited to bring up the next generation. That's my intention, my goal. Literally to sit back and just watch them present. And kind of actually train and get up the next group of researchers and academicians, clinicians, folks who are going to be grounded in both Islam and inshallah, really proficient to the mental health sciences. I always say don't cut corners, be excellent in both, inshallah ta'ala, to really bring our community up. That's my intention and goal. And I pray inshallah, the efforts of the lab and of Madison, as you know, is our new project. So please make dua for us, inshallah ta'ala. And I'm very excited about the next steps. So just every time I come to these conferences, or every time we come here, you just get this like oomph to like keep going, mashallah. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless everybody here. Barakallahu feekum. Thank you.
I tell you guys that 14 years of doing this, this is the vision I had. This is the hope I had. So this is a big moment for me. Please take as many pictures as you can and tag me. So this year we had another partnership with Institute of Living Hartford, and I want to invite my friend, colleague, Dr. Farha.
Just have to soak this in for a moment. I'm having a little bit of imposter syndrome standing here. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I just appreciate your presence. You know, after such a long period of isolation and disconnection, looking forward to the next Saturday in congregation. You know, your presence is healing for me to be here. So I'm the chair in chief of psychiatry up the road at the Institute of Living. It's the oldest hospital in Connecticut, and it's one of the oldest mental health hospitals. It's celebrating its 200th anniversary. And I moved 6 months ago from Canada, London, Ontario, where Sister Ingrid Mattson, who many of you know, has been a mentor to me, but a place that endured a significant traumatic tragedy where family friends of mine were killed in an anti-Muslim hate crime, which I spoke to earlier today. But what I just want to say is, you know, whether it's my office up the road in a 200-year-old pastoral building or these halls, these are spaces that people like us would not have been welcome not that long ago. So we should be here and stand firm and strong in our power and our worth. We deserve to be here in a world that doesn't want us to exist. Our existence is a blessing. And I have two hopes, very simple, very short. One is, let's stop talking about problems. Let's start celebrating what it means to be deliberately Muslim. The authenticity that we bring. Let's liberate ourselves from the baggage. Let's liberate ourselves from having to carry the weight. Let's carry the strength and resilience of our ancestors. Let's walk forward with pride and gratitude for the gifts that were given. But let us not forget that with great power comes great responsibility. And what happened in our community in London was an earth-shattering event. You know, a family out for dinner, mowed down by a white supremacist simply looking for Muslims to kill. And the effects of it on our community are still being felt. And there aren't enough resources. So whatever we're doing, let's get out of the way, let's amplify, let's grow. The need for what we do will only grow with time. So let's be that force that gives light and love to one another. Let us amplify and magnify what we bring to this field. And thank you again for the opportunity.
I remember when I got the Minority Fellowship grant through American Psychiatric Association, and I said, I want to create this conference. There were more naysayers. There's no conference of this kind in the world, which is so religious in its flavor, and yet have the best peer-reviewed, highest level of academic research presented, trainings, toolkits, So I remember being in a meeting in DC and so desperate for some validation, some kind of assurance, and I met Imam Majid. And Imam Majid said, yes, this is what I need, this is what I believe in. And he was the first person to endorse my work. And I still am so grateful to him. And today, Adams Center is one of the Islamic centers that has incorporated the concept of wellness, have a social worker, and I'm so fortunate that Psychiatry is here. I would want to,
Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm so humbled to be here and I'm seeing with all of these wonderful people and so happy to attend the Muslim Mental Health Conference. I literally wait for it every single year. I'm the social worker with the Adams Center, and alhamdulillah, in 2014, I started my work with them, and it only consisted of zakah assistance at that time. So people would come to the masjid, get their zakah assistance, and I would kind of inquire, okay, what's going on, and why they're not able to sustain a living or why they're struggling. As we delve deeper into the issues that people had, I realized that so many in our community were struggling with mental health issues. So I kind of created a program, and I went to our leadership, which was Imam Majid and our other leadership at the masjid, and I sat down with them and I said, so I'm going to create a mental health program. When I kind of waited for somebody to say, no, we're just doing zakah here. But they didn't. They said, go, do it. I said, we need to talk about addiction. They said, do it. We need to talk about anxiety, depression, PTSD in our refugee community. Everything that I said, they said, go ahead and do it. And I was so overjoyed that I worked with such an masjid and organization that they allowed me to create that. So eventually we created the Adams Wellness Center, and it was the umbrella under which everything fell. So all the workshops, all the seminars, the counseling program, which now, alhamdulillah, consists of 14 mental health professionals, which joined me, reduced their rates drastically, so that I could, they could invoice me and I could pay them to see the clients that I was referring to them. And alhamdulillah, it's been such a wonderful program. It's wonderful to be a social worker at a masjid, but oftentimes you feel like a silo, like you're in a silo by yourself. And this mental health conference, the Muslim Mental Health Conference, makes you feel very validated as a professional working with Muslims and in very diverse communities, alhamdulillah. I wanted to really share my gratitude with Dr. Farha Abbasi for continuously fighting for us to have this Muslim Mental Health Conference and for helping us all feel validated. I look forward to the global Muslim Mental Health Conference as well.
Now it's my sheer pleasure and pride to invite Dr. Olubunmi Basirat Oyewuwo. Doctor. And he has been on the program committee. So please, can you share your vision with the program committee? And thank you.
I'm constantly telling myself as I was sitting there that Allah is the best of planners, because I was also telling myself, you are not supposed to be on the stage. I know we're supposed to talk about my vision, but I have a reflection. I first came to this conference in 2015 as a doctoral student who just defended her dissertation proposal and really wasn't sure about where my work fit. I'm a social work, my background is social work. And I will never forget, after my presentation, the sort of belonging I felt from the audience. And I remember Dr. Halim came up to me, gave me his card and said, like, we want you to join us, like invited me into the fold. Years later when I was struggling, I think it was the next year or 2 years later I was struggling, I think it was Dr. Farha who told me to talk to Dr. Hamada about my process. And every year, Dr. Hamada even after I graduated, asked me, where are you now, right? Like, what are you doing now? And Dr. Abbasi has always been just like making sure we're okay. Like, we can't even buy like a water, and she's not gonna say, let me reimburse it. You know what I mean? She's making sure we're okay. And as I sit here or stand here, I'm thinking about like, and then I think about the other volunteers that have been here and worked harder and longer than me. Like, honestly, I don't think Hamad has got enough light and shine. I know y'all do, but like, there's so much work in this that Hamad can probably, yeah. And then I think about people who aren't here, but are still.
You get the chair next.
Yeah. Like, I think about my niece too, who, like, I remember when I presented, she came up to me, and I will tell you this, I don't know how many people I've told this. After that conference, I actually booked a train earlier to Chicago because I think I had the equivalent of a panic attack. I did not understand what was happening. That people were like, oh, your work is really good and important. And that was not the messaging I had been receiving from outside. So it was like, I don't know, I'm not a clinician. Is it equivalent to cognitive dissonance? I don't know. But I say that to say that I cannot believe that was 2015. This is 2022. And I'm still here. And this work is still, this space has grown and morphed. We have survived pandemics and having to go virtual. And if I have to offer a reflection, it's, as I heard Sister Sama speak, I think about those we've lost. I think about Dr. Cheryl.
Yes.
I'm reminded that the work we're doing, like, we are not brand new. We have a history. You know, Dr. Anissa, you know, we have a history. Where we are now is how do we want to honor that history that we have and use that as a propulsion moving forward, that we don't think that we are not brand, we have history, we have people to cite. And I think we have so much literature now that we probably don't even know who we should be citing, right? I think, I also think about the passing of Dr. Deborah Najib. We should be citing Black Muslim scholars who have been doing this work for a very long time. So I'm realizing I'm young. Let me point out I am young. But given that I came to this conference in 2015 and I'm now 4 years post institution, I'm also not very new. So now what is my role in bringing people up? And I think what Dr. Abbasi, Dr. Halim, Dr. Hamada has done really well is make sure to bring people into the fold. So wherever you are, whatever space you're in, make sure you're bringing people into the fold. It's what keeps you going. I think Dr. Rani talked about how she's doing this, but it's what keeps you going. It's what motivates you. Yeah, and it also makes those coming along the way realize that they're not doing this by themselves. They're not in isolation. There's much to learn from. We have a rich history. And I pray Allah continue to bless the work that we all do, and that our history continues to be told. And I pray for goodness for all of us moving forward. Just up there.
I was saving to talk about Dr. Cheryl Olubunmi. If it wasn't for Cheryl, the conference wouldn't be here. She is the first one who introduced the concept of how you create an institution, how you organize panels, how you organize CME, CEUs. And I was so new to this. But more than that, what I remember of her is whenever I got overwhelmed, she would take me to the side, hug me, and give me a prayer book or something, and just giving me that energy to go on. And I would request a quick prayer for her before we continue. May Allah bless her. And may Allah also, we have had wonderful volunteers, workers
And we all have had life happening to us. So some of us had to take breaks, hit pause buttons, but we remember each and every one of them. That said and done, I would request all my volunteers to come on stage. All the volunteers. Hamad, why don't you lead that? Our future. Please, everyone, and if someone in the audience can take a group picture, I would really appreciate it. I want everyone to see the team. Zia, come. So let's create a group, please. And Mary Firdausi, standing ovation to Mary Firdausi. Nothing would be glue that keeps us all together. So please create a group so stay seated. Yeah, why don't you come in front? Some of you come in. Kneel.
Like Russell Westbrook.
Oh, you guys can come to the other side.
No, I'm just gonna put someone had a good idea.
Yeah, come on.
Give me some. Yeah, that's what I'm doing that.
Wow.
Yeah, I got it. My phone, does anyone got iPhone charger? My phone about to die.
And everybody say hybrid. We did it.
One, two, three, cheese.
Cheese. Thank you so much, Akila, Hamad, all of you. And I've always talked about that Muslim mental health is not a movement, it's a family. And we are growing, and we are now going to be a Muslim mental health ummah. That's the goal. So to wrap the conference up, I would request Dr. Halim to make some announcements. And sorry. Oh, yes, please. Make the announcement. And you had an announcement? Huh? Go ahead, come on. Okay. Bakir, why didn't you come to the volunteers? You did so much work.
Assalamualaikum. How's it going? When I say loving, you say kindness. Loving. Kindness. Loving. Kindness. Loving. Kindness. Alhamdulillah. Let me briefly introduce myself and I guess answer the question about what's the vision of Muslim mental health. So, alhamdulillah, this is my second time at the Muslim Mental Health Conference. The first one was in Arizona in 2019. I would have been to the one in 2018, but I was doing my comp exams. My name is Amelia Noroshiro, and I'm doing my PhD at Johns Hopkins University School of Public Health. Woo woo. And the topic of my dissertation is on suicide prevention in young adult Muslims, specifically Muslims of immigrant origin. And
in thinking about, and actually the research was informed by my lived experience as a survivor myself. And in thinking about this research and kind of the future of Muslim mental health field as a whole, one thing that I think we want to do with all this data is enact political change, enact political reform. So what, there's Islamophobia, there's a lot of suicide, there's a lot of depression, there's a lot going on in our community, and we know that it takes structural change to make that happen. And it's really my great honor and pleasure to announce, because I haven't had a chance to do this, we are getting funded federally for a study on suicide prevention, and that's going to be my dissertation. It was by Allah's grace, and I got the news in the last 10 nights of Ramadan last year, which was an incredible answer to a lot of dua that I had made about whether I should continue going on this path. And I really feel like this is a victory for the entire Ummah, because in my view, scientific representation is political representation. Wow, I'm really feeling this. And I think that the difficult thing is getting representative samples. So I'm doing the study. It's funded by the National Institutes of Minority Health and Disparities, and which is a branch of the NIH. And NIH does not fund Muslim mental health. So it was very tricky trying to get this through. So alhamdulillah, like I said, it was a miracle that it got through, and I did some games and tricks, and alhamdulillah, got in. But it was all scientific. And I need your help to partner with different communities across the United States. I want to get a representative sample, and that is not just kind of racially or any other demographics, but also practicing in terms of who's observant, who's less observant. You know, we may find that people vary in terms of suicidality based on their practice. That's an unanswered question that we still have remaining. So to wrap it up, I think I hope you will support me in my study. If you can get in touch with me, I will also just share my email briefly, anoors1@jhu.edu, or you can just look me up, and my info is online. So inshallah, I appreciate your support, and thank you for this opportunity. And please make dua for me.
Rania has an announcement.
Thank you. Inshallah, 2 quick announcements. These are just reminders of things we mentioned for the conference, but just as we close, inshallah, on the Marathon table and booth, there is the QR code for the new CME module that I'd really like everybody to take. It's on Muslim mental health, and it's sponsored by the APA, the American Psychiatric Association. Their sponsorship allowed it for it to be free. So actually, this is something, there's no charge to it, but you're able to get a claim up to 2.5 CME credits or participation credits if you are not a physician. But particularly in addition to yourselves, because you might say, but I know Muslim mental health. And if that's the case, please send it to your colleagues, your non-Muslim colleagues. When they ask about cultural competence and religious congruence in mental health care, this is particularly, we spent a year kind of making this training for them. And this is something you're able to just send the link, and because it's sponsored, it's free probably for a couple of years. They won't probably keep it free forever, mashallah, but for now, it is free, and you can just get the QR code or the link. We put it in the mobile app as well. So please do kind of help increase Muslim cultural competence, inshallah, in mental health through that training. And it was just released last week in preparation for this conference, mashallah. That's all your work at APA. You're both minority fellows, mashallah, at APA. The second announcement that I have to make is something about the, speaking of suicide and the work that we presented earlier, the campaign that we have running right now, which we're calling the 500 Imams campaign. All of you come from different regions and different places. All of you have your imams, your faith leaders. You have ustadas, and women and men, but you also have youth directors and MSA leaders and youth leaders. Anybody who's working on the front lines of the Muslim community, we really want to make sure they get trained in the topic of suicide. I think all the presentations here today showed that it really is a current public health crisis in the Muslim community, these increased attempts. And so we really want to make sure that people are adequately trained in prevention, intervention, and postvention, like the aftermath, but specifically for Muslim communities. And that's what that training is. if you help us please in getting this, you know, to 2022 kind of goal met, it also might mean, it might look like you might take the training, but it also might look like that you sponsor your imam or go to your masjid and say, listen, I'm a constituent here. I want you to make sure that our leaders here are actually trained. And that's how we can get the numbers actually going. So I'm asking for your support, inshallah. And that information is also at the booth. Really quickly, people always ask me, what is Maristan? What does that stand for? It is the English shortened word for the word Bimaristan. Bimar is in Persian, the ill person. And stan, as you know, is the place of. In Arabic, we call these the Dar al-Shifa. It's basically the Islamic hospitals of the past that were known in history, and do not leave this hall unless you know this fact. Wallahu ta'ala alam, to the best of our research, the Muslims in their hospitals were the very first to include psychiatric wards and mental health wards within their hospital systems. That's what inspired us. And it's not just the institutions they built, it's the talk therapy, the sound and music therapy, the nature and holistic therapy that they created to heal holistically mental, spiritual, and physical health. And so that's what we're trying to recreate, inshallah ta'ala. So with your du'as, and I hope inshallah we'll get the trainings disseminated fully. Thank you so much.
Dr. Naeem, closing remarks and then we will have announcement.
Okay. All right, I got you. We have. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Alhamdulillah, we're at the end. Is anyone? Huh? See, when you get to this,
the restriction lifted.
You'll learn that when you grow up. All right. So, number one, I want to know. Oh, here we are. Good looking guy. Who's coming next year? Okay. Does anyone want to know where you're traveling to next year when you come here? You guys already know, because some of y'all got big mouths. HIPAA violations on them, huh? You really want to know where we're going next year? You sure? Yeah. Okay. Anywho, all right. So, wait a minute. This year was 14. Next year is going to be 15, right? 15. 15. Right? And so when you have special numbers and special times, you go back to where you come from, okay? And so the first place that this conference took place, actually for a few number of years before we took it down to the Muslim capital of America, Detroit, Michigan. All right? All right? Yeah, I said it. Not Cali, not Chicago, not New York, not Atlanta, not anywhere else. Detroit, okay? All right? When we took it down there, but you got to go back to where you begin. You got to go with what brought you to the dance. And so that would be the almighty East Lansing, Michigan. Put your coats on. It's going to be good. All right? So get your plane tickets now, because you know who you're going to see, inshallah, and you know where we're going to be. So inshallah, it's going to be, it's the 15th annual, and we're going to have, inshallah, we've already agreed upon this, we're going to have a flood of imams come from the capital, the Muslim capital of America. So, okay? We're going to have more diversity. We're going to have even more amazing topics, and we're going to push this even further. And we're going to get even younger. Because, alhamdulillah, it was my dream, I have to say, it was my dream one day to have my son come and be a part of this thing. And he has now become the youngest volunteer in Muslim mental health history. He just turned 16 a few years ago. Okay? So next year, inshallah, it might be his little brother. You never know. But what I'm saying is, you got your ticket. You know where it's going to be. It's probably going to be sometime in March. You know it's going to be in East Lansing. Okay? You know where it's going to be. So by car, by boat, or whatever, smoking, hoping, whatever, that's what you got to do to get there, inshallah. So we'll see you there, inshallah. And thank you so much for coming out, for staying this long. And inshallah, we'll have a good time tonight. So with that, I'm going to have the esteemed Imam Zaid Shakir just come and and bless us on our way out with a dua. All right? So inshallah. You were in these classes?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Before the dua, since it's going to be an East Lansing, which is indistinguishable from Lansing, and since Lansing was the place where Malcolm X spent a good part of his formative years, and since his mother was a victim of the mental health system at that time, someone has to do a paper on Malcolm X's mother, her experience with the mental health system, and why what she went through would not happen for Muslims on the scene.
That's right. We're going to do this right.
Don't do that, I'm not coming. Barakallahu feekum. May Allah bless all of you. Graciously honoring us to make the dua. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala sayyidil mursalin sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Tasliman kathira. Ya Allah, we ask that you make this gathering of ours one that is embellished by your mercy and our departure from it, one that is covered by your protection and the facilitation. Ya Allah, we ask that you bless all of the wonderful individuals who have come from far and wide, bringing their various experiences and expertise to enrich each other. As the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, that the believers are like the individual bricks in a wall, each one strengthens and supports the next. We thank you for allowing so many bricks to come together to form the formidable wall of the institution and the work that is being undertaken by the wonderful attendees, volunteers, professionals. May you strengthen all of us, Ya Allah. May you protect us. May you protect our minds from the many, many hazards that are there to waylay us. May you protect our hearts and our souls from the overwhelming challenges that we find, the unique challenges that we find in this day and time, yet very old challenges. We pray that you protect our bodies, that you bless us to be nourished with good and wholesome food, with clean water, during these times where many people are challenged in both of those areas. We pray that you continue to bless us with the great, great blessing of security, that great blessing that we see increasingly deprived by so many in this world. May you continue to bless us to be able to assemble as we have assembled during the days of this conference in safety and security, free to express ourselves to the best of our understandings and beliefs and knowledge without fear of any intervention from any external forces, be they governmental or otherwise. May you continue to provide us with safety and security. May you bless the hearts that have come together to stay together. Despite the distance that might separate us, may that distance be traversed by the great, great expansiveness of the hearts that have assembled. May those hearts enrich and strengthen the minds. May the minds work in coalition with the hearts. And may the work that is undertaken here, may it grow, may it expand, may it reach more and more lives, may it enlighten more and more minds, and may it help to liberate more and more individuals from the shackles of challenges that they might deem to be insurmountable. For we recognize and we know that with Allah, all things are possible. So may what many might think is impossible, as was stated earlier, in terms of what can be achieved by the individuals here and by the collective, more so, may the impossible become possible, and may the possible reform, uplift, strengthen, rebuild, and shape healthy, wholesome human beings in this country and beyond. Assalamu alaikum. Ameen, ameen, ameen. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam tasliman kathira. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Takbir. Takbir. Takbir.
So a final thank you to those who could not be here right now. Dr. Hamada Hamid Al-Tayi, Dr. Zain Shamoon for Narratives of Fame, and Dr. Sadiq Naveed for helping us with the program. Once again, thank you all. This isn't a goodbye. It's so long. See you in Lansing.
In Lansing, that's right. Oh, you got it. Yeah. Alhamdulillah. That's that.